you guys have an idea on how you're going to do that?
We'll see how we're flowing. It's usually about halfway. I try to keep an eye on it here. So I'll give you a heads up. Like, we're gonna get ready to pay some bills. We'll go to our
Okay.
yeah.
Just
I'll give you a heads up.
All right.
It's usually half, but
All right.
depends on how the flow's going.
No worries. All right.
This guy talking over here.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of the Santa Bood First Podcast. This wonderful Thursday evening here in beautiful downtown Willow Grove. Coming to you live from the Crack Bell Production Studios. This melodic voice you hear is Jim Marcus.
You start on the pops already?
Yeah, I had a couple sips already. In the room we have with us tonight, to my right, the elder statesman, Mr. Donald Kennedy Martin Deke. How are you, sir?
So formal with the introduction.
Yeah, I'm trying to mix it up. Keep people on their toes.
Keep them honest. I like it.
And to his right, we have Silent Drew. Silent Andrew. What's up, Andrew?
So
I was going to call you a lunchbox. Do you know the Silent Bob, Jay and Silent Bob movies? You ever see the Kevin Smith movies? All right. We're going to have to school you on it. You're going to have to get him watching Mallrats. My son Brody is named after a character on Mallrats.
Really?
It's not Chief Brody. Everybody thinks it's Chief Brody from Jaws, but no, I was a big Kevin Smith fan, and Mallrats is one of my favorite movies. Anyway, Jay and Silent Bob are like a dynamic duo.
Time out.
All right.
Did you get the okay from Heather on this before you sprung that on her?
I got the okay on Brody. I don't know if she fully understood where Brody came from. She was probably thinking like Brody Jenner or something like that. Is probably where her head was.
Or it's a different kind of name. I like it.
She is
outside the box.
She watched the Kevin Smith movies with me. She's also a fan,
so she knows where
she knows at this point. Okay. Yeah.
No, not at this. Before birth. Not at the. It's too late now.
She got to name both of the girls. After I saw how that whole thing happens, I said, you can do whatever you want.
Gotcha. Okay.
One of the greatest days of my life and one of the scariest days of my life at the same time.
Right? 2 times over.
Anyway, and then behind the glass, we got Bob. What's going on, Bob? Producer of the Stars?
Yeah.
What's going on?
This is the all-star crew right here.
This is.
Proud to be a part of it, man.
This is. And we're proud to have you as a part of it.
That's right.
We got plenty to talk about tonight. First, before I get to our sponsors, I see we have a certain someone is watching. Father Carmine.
What's up there?
Who happens to have a birthday today. So we're going to really embarrass him much. He's probably going to jump off the feed right now. But happy birthday, Father, Coach Cavara.
Hey there, Father. Happy birthday.
birthday, Father.
Look at that. You even got Andrew to say it.
You see Mark Cavara? He used to be on our show. He's a priest that used to be on our show a few years ago, a year or so ago.
Okay.
But he got transferred out of our parish, and he's one of the defensive football coaches at Archbishop Carroll.
Oh.
He got really involved with that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, happy birthday, Father.
Yeah.
He was with us through the Super Bowl run.
Yep.
And as much as he hated it, the old Rocky scene, we made him give us the blessings, and we were calling him Father Carmine. I don't think he appreciated it too much, but he's a good sport. He stuck with us.
And that was all the more reason to call him Father Carmine. We kept teasing him that we were going to put a window in the studio that he could lean through and give us a blessing. Never got around to it, but
One day,
You could punch this window out right here. Next time he comes out, just
Yeah.
gotta take it out and then have him
Yep.
like the Rocky scene.
Yep. Just pop through.
There you go.
And Joe Tucci's watching too. What's up, Joe?
And before we get started, let me say thank you to our sponsor, the MPM agency, Matt Maloney, InsurePhilly.com. Get up to 10 quotes in about 10 minutes. The perfect time of year. Getting your fiscal matters in order. We'll take a look at your insurance. Up to 10 quotes in about 10 minutes. Just get on there, InsurePhilly.com. And as always, powered by Pops McCann's Fine Irish Whiskey. Thanks again to Jason Fogg. We had a special extended episode this past Saturday where we had all the tastings of the new American style whiskeys and bourbon. Great stuff. You can get the original Pops at liquor stores in the area. If you want the new stuff, you got to go right to Jason and he'll deliver it right to your door. Door to door satisfaction.
I don't know of any other product that would do that. Well, you got Uber Eats and all that business, but I'm talking about,
Liquor, the good stuff.
Yeah, nobody else.
I don't care if my McDonald's gets
exactly
delivered to my house
Yeah.
now.
Yeah,
I wouldn't buy
I
alcohol.
think when the alcohol show, it's like the milkman from back in the day. Except you got to make a phone call first. Back then it just showed up.
Showed up.
Yep. But yeah, I remember as a little kid, we were talking about alcoves.
You are just opening it up, buddy.
We were,
Go
we were
ahead.
talking about alcoves.
Remember
last
back
week.
in the day,
Yeah.
after I fed my Brontosaurus, I'd go out front.
Yes. Well, we had a back porch between me and the house next door.
Yep.
And the steps leading up to the back porch. And I think it was once a week, you open up the back door and there's a quart of milk sitting on it was for Mrs. Kronbar. It wasn't for us.
Mhm.
And she would jump out and grab her milk.
You didn't steal it, you little
No.
hoodlum. After
Nope.
the story you told
No,
earlier tonight.
Yeah, we're honorable people in Southwest Philly. Come on now.
All right. Honor amongst thieves.
Yeah.
Anyhow. So we had the final dagger. I think we were all expecting it. I don't know why the NFL thought it was a good idea to put our game as the primetime game to close out the season, but they did it. There were playoff implications on the line for some teams, and yeah, there was a game played, and we lost.
Somewhat.
And there has been a shitstorm. There has been a shitstorm behind that loss. So, well, let's talk about that. I really enjoyed it. I loved seeing all these Giants fans crying about boo-hoo, you laid down, integrity of the game. If it wasn't for the Eagles, why couldn't you play? And you know what? I say to you, go pound sand. Don't be 6-10. Don't expect to make the playoffs at 6-10. Handle yourself. Teach Danny Jones how to run. I mean, the fact that you were really hoping to get into the playoffs at 6-10 tells you all you need to know about that team. And don't come crying to me. You want to talk about integrity of the game? Every year, there's some slogan for some player, for some team to tank. Tank for Trevor. Bust for Baker. It happens. And I just thought all this outrage was just ridiculous. Coming from everywhere. Coming from players, coming from the media. Guys talking about how Peterson should be fired for this. The NFL needs to look into it. It was just ridiculous. Ridiculous.
I don't want to say sympathize because I'll never sympathize with
No,
with
not
the
with
Giants.
them.
I understood why they were crying, left and right about their situation. I had no sympathy for them. I actually enjoyed two people I know up in New York. They texted me. One said your coach should be fired. He's a punk. And the other one called him an ass clown. And and I just kind of laughed. I'm like, yeah, well, you're just finding this out. We've known this for a while.
Mhm.
And I said, you're coming to the wrong place, barking up the wrong tree if you're looking for sympathy, because I'm not giving you any. But I understand why you're pissed off. And if we were in the same situation, I would be pissed off.
But I would go cry in my pillow. I wouldn't go
Yeah.
put it out on social media.
Right,
Boo-hoo.
exactly.
My shitty
Yeah.
6-10 team should be
Yeah.
going to the playoffs and getting their
Exactly.
asses kicked this
Yep.
weekend by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yep. No, you're right about that. You got to win games.
I think 6-10. And I think with the coach coming out of the Giants, going on his little tirade, I think that that's almost enabling a 6-10 record. Like if I'm a coach, and look, obviously I'm not a pro player at, on from any
You're
sport.
a pro in our book, though.
There you go. That's what I try. Right. So I mean, any coach that I had, whether it be Little League, Pop Warner, anything like that, they're like, yeah, you want something, you got to work for it. And I'm not saying they didn't work, but 6-10 just they shouldn't even have been in any other division. They're not even in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Same thing with the Eagles. It's the same thing.
Yeah, the whole division wasn't in
exactly.
the
Yeah,
conversation.
That's what I'm saying.
any
Somebody
other
had to
division.
go. I get it.
Right. So I mean, I just think that that's a little. I mean, I get what he's saying because I'll admit I was a little frustrated with that call. I mean, I think you should play to win, but on the other token, and the same token too, you as a coach, you can't just come out and say, well, it's like you're enabling that type of attitude, that type of demeanor in your locker
That
room.
type of.
You're right.
Like you're feeling bad, so you have to come out and say something. To
the
kinda,
entitlement.
right? Exactly.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
You're like, this is our playoff spot.
Right.
We deserve this for how great we played all season. We deserve this. Look, they lost their best offensive weapon. I get it. They lost Saquon, but every team in the East lost somebody, and that's why it was a shitty division. And I don't know if the best team won. Probably not. But if you look at this division going forward, I think Washington, they get themselves, not that Alex Smith has played bad, but he's a little older. They get themselves a nice quarterback and shore up that offensive line. Their defense is good.
Yeah,
they got a good running back. They got decent receivers. McLaurin's going to be one of the top receivers in the East, at least,
defensive
if not the
line
NFC.
Is, impressive.
Yeah, that defensive line, that's the only thing that's going to keep them in this game against Tampa Bay. And we'll talk about the playoff games a little bit later. But look, it's just Joe Judge, where'd he come from?
Lansdale.
But where would he come from his coaching tree?
Oh, Bill Belichick.
Right.
Belichick.
You talk about integrity. You played for that franchise.
Right.
Don't come to me talk about integrity. The NFL let the Broncos play with not a single quarterback. Don't talk to me about integrity. They let the Patriots, it's money. It's all about the money. As the game's going on, let me first, last weekend before we got out of here, we talked really quickly at the end of the podcast, a little bit of sports. And I believe we all said, are we playing for the draft pick or are we playing for the win? And I think we all said, we're playing for the draft pick because that also shit cans the Cowboys. Then the Cowboys have no shot at getting into the playoffs, right? So it was, double edge there. We get the better draft pick and we could kill the Cowboys. I think half of the city felt that way. Maybe even more. We all go into saying you play to win the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
The good old Herm Edwards. You played to win the game.
Right.
But it happens. It happens in every sport. Happens this time of year, every year. A couple of years ago, the Giants themselves were talking about it to get Chase Young. They wanted Chase Young last year. So it's just, it became this big media frenzy, and you got Dan Orlovsky, who I thought was an Eagles fan. You got Mike Greenberg saying stuff. You got Sal Powell, local guy, local reporter, saying the NFL needs to investigate this. Sal just had to stick up his ass because of both of his New York teams. Yeah, both his New York teams are out of the playoffs, and the Jets screwed up their chance of getting the number one pick. So it was just silly how it all played out. And for people to say that Doug doesn't have any integrity, the reports are coming out now that Doug said he wanted to get Sudfeld some time to play. The one thing that killed me was teams have played all season under these conditions. We expect you to put your best team out on the field and respect the game. But you know what? Sudfeld has been on that sideline the whole season. He's been away from his family. He's been trying to steer clear of all the COVID bullshit. And the fact that Doug told him before the week, if I have a chance, I'm going to get you in the game. I respect that as well. You knew you're not going anywhere. Sorry, Giants, that a win for you, made a difference here. But Doug knew they weren't going to do anything. So that he gives this guy a reward, a little bit of a reward, a little bit of taste of getting into a game to maybe get some game tape for himself for next year, because Sudfeld's not going to be back here, and he's young enough. He's going to get another job. I just think it was all because it was New York. It got way too much attention.
I just think it was blatant, though. Like maybe if it was a little less blatant, people wouldn't have like the fact that the majority of people maybe it was because it was New York, but usually when you tank, you don't even notice it. But I think it was noticeable, and I think that's what made people upset.
Maybe it's harder to notice in the NFL. It's pretty clear in the NBA when you're tanking. But if he would have kicked the field goal instead of going for it on fourth down when he had the chance to tie it the first time, like maybe then people wouldn't be as up in arms about it. And he showed that he was trying. But if you're talking to Doug can say, "Well, yeah, I'm the gunslinger. I'm the risk taker. I was trying to get the touchdown there. I didn't want the 3 points."
We got to. Well, Ed Webster. You know Ed Webster.
Yes,
he's a fellow Falcon.
Fine Falcon. There you go, Ed. If you're watching on stream, I got my North T-shirt on there.
He's asking what position should we draft first, and then a classmate of mine, John Fair, he says Doug should have started Nate and avoided all this.
That's not a bad point.
Yes. I have three things that I think all contributed to the national blow up over all this. Johnny just said we need 22 draft picks. The first, I think, is the fact that it was New York.
Yes.
If this had been, like I said on our text thread, if this had been the Jaguars, nobody would give two shits about this. Nobody would be speaking a word about this if we had tanked against the Jaguars. Second thing, Sunday night. It's the last game of the season, and so and Doug went ahead and did what he did. If this was a 1:00 Sunday afternoon game, nobody would have noticed. Nobody would care. The third thing is the timing that Doug did it. It's a 3-point game. There's a playoff spot on the line for Washington. Forget New York. There's a spot on the line for Washington. If Doug had done this where he had said, Jalen's going to play the first half, Nate's going to play the second half, and been done with it, I don't think it causes as much a stink. But all those three factors, those mitigating circumstances, all played into the uproar, the national uproar. And then, on top of all that, you got Chris Collinsworth.
Well, he's a dickbag anyway.
Saying what he said.
Sorry. I just can't. Yeah.
He just can't wait to get his opinion in on the Eagles.
No. And what he said at the end of the game, he should be investigated. He should be jackass. Has he done anything? He wasn't even that great of a receiver.
Nah, he was a pretty good receiver.
No, he wasn't.
Yes,
Don't give that guy anything.
He was a pretty good. You got to give him that.
I don't have to give him anything.
He's
just like I don't
off.
have to give the Giants anything. I don't have to give anybody anything.
And Collinsworth is pissed off because everything that he said in our Super Bowl, the opposite happened.
Yeah.
Every touchdown he tried to get called back was given as a touchdown. He's still pissed off about that.
So tell me, how good was Hurts playing when they pulled him?
Not that good.
Okay.
At all.
Okay. So did Doug maybe think, all right, let's get Sudfeld in there and see if he can spark something?
I mean, if this had been if under different circumstances, maybe pulling Hurts for the lack of production, I think would have been justifiable. And it still is justifiable because he, other than running in 2 touchdowns, he didn't do a damn thing out there.
Yes.
And that's another storyline with him is he's fallen off each week. He's come back down to earth a little bit closer each week, and I think he finally thudded onto the ground this past week. If this had been a situation where, all those other mitigating circumstances didn't come into play, and Doug came out and said, look, Jalen wasn't getting the job done. I did this because of his performance. If he had said that, and, not that Sudfeld didn't do a damn thing anyway,
right?
But if he had justified it that way, he might have gotten away with it more and not had the uproar about, especially a national uproar. So that's where I see that.
So then you the national uproar. Let's talk about the national media and all the stories that came out after this. Then, before the game, it was Wentz is going to ask to be traded. Now you're hearing Wentz never said that. Jason Kelsey had to be pulled back from the coach. Kelsey cleared the air. He said that's not what happened. He said Doug made them aware that I want to get Sudfeld some time if I can.
Yeah.
And Jason said maybe the timing wasn't what the team expected, but they knew it was coming.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, half the team wasn't playing.
Right. And what was Miles sat for? Was it injury or just for the sake of it?
I'm sure they said it was an injury, ankle probably,
Right.
but yeah, it's the end of the year.
Right.
You had nothing to play for.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh sat half of their team the other week when other teams still had playoff implications. So why is there no outrage there? Oh, because they're going to the playoffs, so they need to rest their players.
Yeah. Well, look at our Super Bowl year in 2005. When we finished 13-3, we totally tanked that game against the Bengals. I mean, the starters played a quarter, I think. And we ended up getting beaten in that game, and nobody said a word back then about throwing the game.
Yeah.
Everybody everybody knew going into the game it was a glorified preseason game.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what it was.
Yeah, I was hoping to get a Giants fan's perspective on all this, but we couldn't make it happen tonight. But I'm just done with it, and now it adds to the rivalry, I guess, right?
Sure. Oh,
next year should be interesting.
Yes. That's I didn't even think of that angle. That's a great point. It definitely adds to the rivalry because now both teams have circled those dates next year on the calendar, and the rivalry had fallen off a little bit in the last maybe 10 years or so. It was really stoked when both teams were good. When a rivalry consists of at least one bad team, it
like when you
loses
beat a
its
team
luster.
27 times in a row,
loses its luster.
Yeah.
But when both teams are good, making the playoffs, beating each other up and that's when a rivalry is at its best. And this, even if both teams next year are bad, which could very well be, I think this definitely adds some luster back to that rivalry. That's a very good point. Didn't even think of that.
Is this one of your worst seasons that you've witnessed? We've seen some bad ones.
I've seen a lot of bad ones. Since I've really been paying, before I was really paying attention, I knew they were bad. I'd see the in the newspaper what their record was. I'd watch them on TV, but you didn't have the total access that you have today. Back in 1972, there were a lot of things that didn't exist these days.
No players putting their thoughts out on Twitter.
Right. So you didn't get the behind the scenes look that you get today. You didn't have access to players that you have today. So you saw the record in the paper, you saw the game on Sunday, maybe a couple questions were answered in a post-game press conference afterwards, and you read it. You wouldn't even hear that on the radio. You certainly didn't see it on TV, on a cable network. You may or may not hear that on the radio, but you would read about it in the paper the next day. But that was before I was really paying attention. I saw some really bad teams back then. Didn't know all the ins and outs that we have privy to these days. I would have to say this is because of those, extra benefits we get with all the social media and whatnot, because of all the upheaval that we know about that's going on in the locker room, in the front office, and this and that. Yeah, this has got to be one of the worst, if not the worst.
And I think the talent on this team is what makes it a little more difficult too. The potential that this team had to be a good team, to win the East with no problem.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot my notebook. I'd go back to look at our predictions for the year to see where we thought the Eagles would end up. I know none of us had them below 7 wins.
I had them at 13-3.
Was that where you were at, Andrew? Yeah. Well, that's young youth. That's optimistic youth.
Yeah.
But yeah, because some of those old, like when you're trotting out Bubby Brister as your starting quarterback, I don't think you're expecting a good season, right? You're expecting that that's going to be another one of those years.
Mike McMahon.
Yeah, there were some bad ones back in
Yep.
the day. Ken O'Brien.
Yeah.
Kavanaugh had a decent season or two, right?
Yeah, Matt Cavanaugh. Yeah, he did okay.
But I still don't think it was at
Little.
the level of this team and what
No.
the expectations
No.
were for this team.
No.
It was in. We can blame it on Carson, regressing. We can blame it on Doug. We can blame it on coaching. See how this all gets fixed. The one interesting thing that I saw Jaws tweet was on the offensive side of the ball, they played 36 different players throughout the season. That was the most in the NFL. And on the defensive side of the ball, they played 39 different players, most in the NFL, because of injuries, not just because of rotations and things like that. So if you want to use injuries as an excuse, it's one of the excuses I think you can use. But we see now coaches are starting to be shed. Schwartz came out today and made it official that he's done. He says he's given his heart and soul to football. Last week, I think it said he was going to take a year off, but that statement makes me think maybe he's not, but maybe he just needs a recharge, and good luck to him. Sorry to see you. Not sorry to see you go, but don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out. A couple offensive coordinators or consultants, Marty Morningweg. I didn't even know he was still doing any consulting with this team. I don't know why you would want him anywhere near this team after what he did with Bradford.
My buddy Johnny Fair, he just said this season was one of the worst, not because of how bad we were, but because of expectations.
Yeah, the potential that was there.
Yes, and Andrew just pointed out what our expectations were. It's maybe not all of us were that high, but he picked them at 13-3. I think I had him at least with 10 wins, if not 11. So yeah, we did have,
and I will say with confidence,
much bigger expectations this year.
I will say with utmost confidence that we all had Washington in the cellar.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nobody thought that they'd be winning the East.
Yeah.
I think their defense is underrated. People don't look at them and say they have a good defense. You know what I mean? But I would agree with Deke. I mean, I think this season's really bad because I think the organization just got exposed for how all the weaknesses within the organization just got brought out into the open. Anything from coaching, player development, drafting, all that stuff.
Yeah, and I saw, I don't know if it was Ed on the thread here asked about the draft picks. And part of the whole, whether they threw the game or not, is you were going from 6 to 9. Nice. Is there really a big difference between those picks?
When did DJ show up?
I got to throw it out there for him. I don't want Howie near any of these draft picks, whether it's the 6th pick, the 9th pick. If Howie wants to try to make some moves to trade up, to do something, but I don't want him sniffing these picks. They said that John Dorsey's been here as a consultant the last couple of years. Well, that scares me a little bit too because he wasted a 2nd-round pick on Hurts if he was here involved with this draft. But it sounds like Howie's here. He's not going anywhere. So if this is a year for Howie and Doug to try to make it right and they don't do it, hopefully that means it's a better draft pick the next year. But they're screwing this coming year up by allowing them to stay, allowing Howie to make this pick, and he's going to screw it up. He's going to screw it up. Now, we could talk about who you want at those picks. I know there's some really good receivers at the top there. I don't know if I want a receiver, but I don't know who else. You're not taking a quarterback there. If you take a quarterback there, this whole city will burn.
There's rumors out there that they're going to trade up for one, or they're going to stay pat and get.
I'm going to take some no name out there that no one's ever heard of from like Eastern Kentucky or something.
See, I don't see that happening this time.
It's tough to screw up this high in the draft, but don't. Hey, Howie's sitting back going, hold my beer. I'll show you how I can screw it up.
I hear you, but I just think that, I think now like there's a glaring need to hit on this pick one way or another. What I can do, I'll tell you what, man, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say if we're talking about hold my beer, then he's probably going to draft the quarterback again. But when it comes down to it, if the top receiver's not there, or I want to say a lineman, I think they're going to trade down and go for a lineman. That's what I think they're going to do.
It wouldn't shock me.
O-line? What are you saying, O-line or D-line?
I'm saying O-line or D, probably O-line.
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards more O-line just because he has a infatuation with O-line.
Well, their O-line
They need it, but I don't know. You go.
They need it. They're number one. They're getting long in the tooth. A few of them. Number two, except for Kelsey, they're getting a major history of injury.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they all missed time except for Kelsey this year from injury. And I never, you hear coaches talk. You build a team from the inside out. You start with the lines on both sides of the ball, and you build your way out from there. I don't know.
More secondary help.
I think they need secondary help.
Where
I would love a real, honest linebacker.
Yeah.
And there's a kid sitting out there, and I don't, my colors are going to show on this one. But if Parsons is there, I mean, come on.
I don't see him drafting a linebacker.
I don't see it happening
it's
either.
Not
I don't see it happening.
Not in the first round.
And I won't be upset if they get one of these receivers, whether you want Devontae Smith or Jamar Chase.
One of them's gonna be there.
They could be, yeah.
Or
It
the
depends on if
cornerback.
there's any trading done.
Or the cornerback from Alabama.
Certain, yeah. I would prefer that over one of the receivers.
Or the O-lineman from Oregon.
I get scared with what Howie will do, or he'll trade back. You know what would really be a real poke in the eye, a hot poker right in the nuts, if he trades back to the 9th pick.
Oh my God! Stop.
And then just tells New York, "Hey, here's your big apple. You like apples?" Mm-hmm. I think that would be hilarious. But I have to look. It's a hard season. Some of the bigger, better teams played, but the player evaluations, half the colleges didn't play. So I think towards the end of the draft, where you can sneak a guy in that, somebody you've had your eye on throughout the season, you're not going to have those guys out there. So I'm really more concerned about later in the draft that they're not going to know who to take. You're looking at tape from 2 years ago for some of these colleges that didn't get a chance to play this year.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. I don't want Howie anywhere near our pick.
Do you think that it's possible that Jeffrey Lurie goes, timeout? I want the first 3 picks, you're going to go with John. No? You think you think it's Howie?
I think he's hands-on, but I don't think he's that hands-on.
Jerry Jones, he's like,
yeah, he's not a Jerry Jones type. And I mean, throughout the history of sports, when owners get involved in picks and free agent pickups and that sort of thing, it's usually never good, because I think they're going after, they're chasing something. They're going for the ring, they're going for the chip, and they're just going with the best available player that's out there, and it's not always the player that you should take.
That was the Raiders.
Yeah.
Right? And Davis always got involved.
Yeah.
He wanted this type of running back, and that's
look at Dan Snyder, the first 10, 12 years.
He was playing fantasy football.
He owned the
But I'm
Washington
not
team.
saying Lurie goes after, he's not going to pick the guy, but maybe just kind of giving that authority to the first or second pick, first and second round, to a better player talent evaluator. But it does seem like they're more of a collaborative type of group than anything.
But look, if I'm the owner, I wouldn't put him past him to say, look.
If I'm going to be honest, I want Doug to pick this first round pick.
I would take Doug's evaluation over Howie's.
I would too.
I want somebody with a football pedigree making the picks, or if not a football pedigree, somebody who's been making picks and has proven themselves that they have half a clue. Howie, outside of 1 year, the Super Bowl run, hasn't had half a clue. And I don't know what his draft picks were the year before, but he made decent in-season moves with that trade for Ajayi, and I think there was one other trade involved, and a couple free agent picks he had.
I'm okay with Howie with figuring out what free agents fit in the cap.
Yeah,
Because there he's going after proven players most of the time, where
right. That's the difference.
he doesn't have to look at them in college and say, well, how does that translate to the pro game?
Exactly. And
And
that's where you need somebody with a football pedigree.
And he's got people under him giving these reports.
Mhm.
But I'm sure you get biased. You see a certain guy in like the Mike Mamolas of the world. Wow, this guy looks really great at one point in time, and you just fall in love with him. And you have to have that player.
It was the line that he gave when Ray Rhodes asked him, "What are you going to do against Eric Williams?" And what you remember what he said?
Kick his ass.
I'm going to kick his ass, and that's what got him drafted. And he got his ass kicked.
Yeah.
His entire career.
So I don't know, Bob. To your point, if Lurie he has the right to do it, just goes in and says, "Look, this is what I want. I want one of those two receivers. You make it happen. This is my team."
Because ultimately, if this, I would think if they have another season like they did this season, they don't do well. The draft picks don't look promising, much like last year's draft, which I guess the end result's still out there. I mean, you would have to move on from both, right? If you have like I said, if you have a season like you did this year, and then you have, the picks don't look promising. It's almost like you're looking at like no return to point and no return right there.
Yeah, and that's what I'm worried about. You give them one more year, and you find out, shit, this year should have been the year. This should have been the one more year.
Right.
Because if they draft bad, or even if Doug does get the draft and those draft picks don't pan out, is it Doug and his ability to develop players?
The whole coaching staff. It's not just one person.
We need an insider to actually tell us what's going on there, because I want to know, was it really Doug's idea to have 5 offensive coaches rather than an offensive coordinator?
Yes.
Is Doug really have the say in who's dressing? That report was in midseason that Howie tells Doug who dresses for the games. Like, I want to know what's true to that stuff.
It down here because he had 6 people talking to him at once.
Yeah, too many people in his ear.
And they did something about that. Thank God.
What?
They got rid of
Scandrello
and Morningwig.
Morningwig.
Yeah.
They should go get an offensive coach, an offensive coordinator this year.
Well, there's a report out there saying that they are, but who?
But is it internal? Are they going to give it to Deuce? They're going to give it to because I heard Press Taylor. But if you're telling me Press Taylor didn't help with Carson this year either, he was the quarterback.
He's got to go, man. They got to really take a long look at these coaches.
Is he still out there?
Yeah.
Exactly. If he's still out there, why not bring him back?
I don't know.
Stubbornness,
maybe
ego.
Him and Doug didn't get along. Maybe, or him and Howie didn't get along.
I think Press Taylor and Carson are
pretty tight.
Yes.
He did have an argument with him one game.
He what?
Argument with him one game.
That's true. He did.
But I'm okay with that, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw Belichick and Brady getting each other.
How often do you fight with your brother?
So, do we think, staying on the Carson thing, he's come out and said that he didn't say he was going to ask for a trade. Is he fixable? Do you want him here? Do we got it?
I think
does Carson have to go?
Quarterback coach, he is fixable, but
is he fixable here? Does he stay here?
We could probably fix him. Yeah. In fact, what's his name? Flippo would fix him.
Bring him in. Does that mean then you got to figure out what you're doing with Hurts? You can't have both of them here.
I'm sorry, but just trade him.
He hasn't.
Trade him to the Colts. They need a quarterback.
Hurts or Wentz?
Hurts.
Okay. I would trade them both for Watson. Deshaun Watson said he might. I'd trade them both for Watson. At the end of the game, Carson was out there on the bench for a while. Kelsey came out there on the bench on the field. Ertz was on the bench.
That was sad.
Yeah, it was sad. There's one more player that I'm thinking of, Jason Peters. So I know we busted his stones all season about why is he here and why should he be here. Andrew, you're obviously younger than us. Bob, I think you're a little younger than me too. But there's 3 players that could be leaving this team this year that I think are all-time Eagles greats.
Mm-hmm.
Name me a better tight end. That's probably the one position where they've been closest. They've had some decent tight ends in the past, but Ertz is going to go down as the best Eagles tight end.
Yeah,
of all time for now.
Keith Jackson was pretty good. Charlie Young back in the 70s. We traded Charlie Young for Ron Jaworski. He was pretty good.
Pete Retzlaff is the
Pete,
one that comes to mind.
And see, I was going to say him, but then I'm like, if I say him, I'm going to get the shit about being old.
No, there's another one. I'm not Pijos.
Oh, Pete Pijos.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, I'd give
he
you
goes
shit
back
for
to the 40s.
I'd give you shit for him, but Pete Retzlaff. At
Pete
least
Retzlaff. My dad and my brother told me about how great he was, and so I always knew the name, and I knew he was a great player. He retired. He might have. I'm going to guess he was still playing, but I was probably, still in my diapers or whatever. What you call it? I was down the link one time and in the club box.
Ooh,
was
your pinky out as you were drinking your Bud Light?
They have old players come in and sign autographs.
Yeah.
So one week, and it seemed like Bill Berge was there every other week.
Yeah. Just to get a free steak.
Yeah. But Pete Retzlaff was there one week, and I actually stood and got his autograph.
Nice.
And he stood up for some reason. And when he stood, I mean, he looked pretty good, sitting down behind the table. But when he stood up, he had to be, at the time, I'm guessing he had to be 70. And this is probably 10, 12 years ago. He probably was about 70 years old, and he looked like he could still play. I was really impressed at how good he looked for his age. And my brother happened to see him also. And he came up to our seats and he said, "Hey, did you see Pete Retzlaff doing autographs there?" I said, "Yeah, I actually got his autograph." He's like, "Oh, wow." He says, "He looks like he could still play." I said, "That's exactly what I thought when I saw him stand up." He's like, "Yeah, I think he could still play." I mean, he was in that good a shape. And I don't know if he's still with us or not. I can't remember.
You're saying he was 70, 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
if he stayed in that good shape, maybe he is.
Yeah, I'm guessing he was about 70, and it was about 10, 12 years ago.
We had Mike Fritz jumped on here and he said Chad Lewis. We've had some pretty good tight ends.
Decent tight end.
For our
tea.
franchise, like Chad Lewis, Brent Selleck.
Forgot about him, Brent Selleck.
Forgot about Brent. Yeah, I mean, you got some all timers from a fan's perspective, but
Keith Jackson
from a true Jackson.
Yep.
Who was I was gonna say LJ Smith, but he was hit or miss.
No, please.
There was another guy that played though back with Donovan. That was just kind of like another Thomason. All he did was catch touchdowns. He was a snapper. But there's guys that have names. There's tight ends that we grew to love.
Oh, Spagnuolo.
But
Mike Sarapo just said Spagnuolo.
Spagnuolo. Then we had Bavaro too for a season or two.
It was the downside of his career.
Mike Ditka.
Yeah.
He was an Eagles tight end.
Yeah, that was back in the day.
Yeah, so there's some names. But Ertz has got to be all-time Eagles tight end.
Here's an interesting side note about Keith Jackson. Now, I was told this. I didn't read it. I don't know how true it is, but
he was the sixth Jackson brother?
No. But my source from back in the day, he's really into sports, so I'm guessing it's true. Keith Jackson was all conference in what?
Oh man.
Not football related at all.
Basketball.
So the way you're asking it, it's got to be like badminton.
Let me put it this way: it's not sports related at all.
Cheerleading.
No.
Chess.
No. The cello.
Oh.
Yes.
He was sophisticated.
It's a musical. It's like a stand-up bass, but it's a smaller version of a stand-up bass.
Hey, start playing one now. Colleges. Telling you.
Handing out money, hand over fist.
They need a cello. They need a fifth chair.
I have a cousin who went to Penn State on a full scholarship playing the French horn.
I'm not joking.
In the band, in the marching band.
My uncle told me when he was going out with my cousins, he said, "You know how many people were looking for a violinist? Like they would have just gave you a full boat if you knew how to play a violin."
Yep.
Pick something up, Andrew. You still got time. Not drums or guitar. You need like the oboe. How about the oboe? Learn how to play the oboe. Jazz flute. Just for 4 years. All right, the other two players, Kelsey, He goes down as the Eagles' greatest center.
Yeah. Chuck Bednarik.
Come on. I know.
What do you mean? Come on.
I know.
Dude's
But
in the Hall of Fame. He had 2
as a
championships.
linebacker, let's go with linebacker. I don't like to think of Chuck as a center.
But
Chuck's
he was a
linebacker.
center.
I know he
played
was.
every minute of every game.
Yeah. Kelsey's got longevity.
But here's
What?
I mean, do you can you see yourself playing with him without him at center, or
Kelsey?
without him
No.
at linebacker? No.
Or
Bednarik.
Bednarik?
No, I wasn't. I didn't see him play. I'm too
Answer
old,
that for us.
too young.
Way too young.
You
When
wanna
you
answer
said
that
2, I'm
question
like,
for us?
what? Wait a sec. There's no gray in that beard.
A little bit.
Now, I didn't even see him play. He retired 61 or 62, which was a couple years before I was born. So I didn't even see him play. But again, hearing from my dad and my brother, he was Mr. Everything.
Your brother Pat on the line. Ask him, Chuck or Kelsey?
Call him right now.
That's a good question.
Or Honey Buns?
Or no.
Do you remember Honey Buns, Andrew?
No clue who that is.
Hank Fraley. He was an Eagles center. He was a big guy, like Baby Huey big, and they called him Honey Buns. They've had some okay centers, but again, I think you got to go Kelsey.
I real quick.
Hank Fraley,
Hank Fraley, yeah.
I gotta
Honey Buns.
Honey Buns.
I gotta give a quick shout out. We got some people from around the country listening. Is Jack Hines that just jumped on? He's a guy I used to work with. He's down in South Carolina. Somebody earlier, Chrissy Craig. She's an old family friend of mine. She's down in Dallas. And Johnny Bowe, he's down in North Wildwood. So we got them spread out all over the place.
Where were we big in Brazil? Was it Brazil or
Yes,
Portugal?
yes.
We're big somewhere.
Yep,
It is
Brazil.
We got to go global. We got to keep going global.
211 in basketball in Brazil. Rank.
We were 211 in the U.S. in basketball.
Oh, is that? Oh, was
and
the
we haven't
US?
talked basketball in a while. We got to get back on our basketball to
Yeah,
get that number up.
7-1 to play tonight at 7:30 against the Nets.
I'm gonna. Jack.
Barry is out.
Jack is about my age, but I'll ask him about hey Jack, if you're still there, and I think he is. Chuck Bednarik or Jason Kelsey at center?
At
Who do
center.
you think? At center. Who would you take if you were starting your team?
And we'll wait for a response from Jack.
Now Jack is in Southern Cali
Oh man.
at the Songs Project. So if did you get my question? Chuck Bednarik or Jason Kelsey? He's a huge Eagles fan. He
Said
he,
Chuck.
He
Chuck.
went to the there you go, Chuck. He says
I don't
Chuck.
know. We'll have to
don't
have a debate on that.
Yeah,
We'll have to-
yeah.
think
No,
we'll have to call him Pat up.
I'm going Chuck. As much as I really appreciate Kelsey, the way he goes out there all banged up every week, game after game. I don't know what his starting streak is. Is it over 100? It is over 100.
Is there a way that you can recognize him as a linebacker and give the center position to Kelsey? You know what I mean? I mean, is there a way you can do that?
he was. If you look up Chuck Bednarik's highlights, his career highlights, he made All Pro, and was the Pro Bowl? I don't know if the Pro Bowl was
think
around
so.
back then, but he made All Pro at both center and linebacker, and he might have more at center than he does linebacker.
Still taking him as a linebacker.
Yeah, and I don't want to sound like DJ and poo-poo the past and how the game has changed.
Right.
But all they did was run the ball back then. So the center didn't really. I don't think they were doing like polls. Like I think it was just student body left, student body right, and he didn't have to do a lot of
He
pass
had the
blocking.
Flying
He just-
Dutchman at quarterback, Norm Van Brock.
yeah, who just took off. Right? I mean, I don't know.
He was Van Brocklin, I believe, was a passer
the
for
thrower.
considering that the era of football
The best
was.
running back we ever had.
That's a whole other.
Yeah,
There's-
now you're going crazy with
Herschel Walker.
that. I loved Herschel when he was here.
So wait, that let our third player, Jason Peters.
Oh yeah, I forgot. That's our.
I mean, of the three we're talking about, I think Jason Peters is the guy that actually has a legitimate Hall of Fame chance. Maybe Kelsey. I know Ertz is in there already for his record for receptions, but actually being inducted in the Hall of Fame, I think Peters is going to be in line. So that's easily got to make him the best left tackle we've had, right? All-time Eagles best left tackle.
Wasn't Stan Walters a left tackle?
Might have been. Not better than Peters.
And who was the opposite of
Trey
Trey
Thomas.
Thomas?
He was great. Not better than Peters.
I guess I would have to give it to Peters. Maybe a little begrudgingly, but yeah, I'll give it to Peters.
Yeah, the last couple years he's worn on us a bit, but he's going to be of the next group of, other than maybe Eric Allen. Eric Allen's got a shot down, but I think the next Eagle inducted into the Hall of Fame is going to be Sproulsy. Yeah, well, if Peters didn't try to play 2 more seasons, he'd be ahead of Sproles.
And I got another vote for Chuck. My man Johnny Bowe says 60-minute man. Exclamation point times 4.
Peters too. Jack says Peters too. Peters
Yes.
better than Chuck, or Chuck's better than Peters, or Peters is better than
at left tackle
injuries.
over Stan Waters and
Oh, okay.
He just
Thomas.
takes breaks during games, halftime with his clock out of the game.
Hey, he's old. Old people do that. Like your dad checks out every once in a while. You ever look over your dad and he's pretending to read his phone? He's just resting his eyes.
I'm not arguing.
All right.
Speaking of resting our eyes,
Yeah, that was a good little segue there. I think
dry on the pops
we're a little
here.
dry on the pops, and we do have to throw some love to our sponsors. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back, talk a little bit more Birds, and then, as Andrew pointed out, we do have the 7-1 Sixers playing tonight, so maybe we'll have a little Sixers chat to close out the show. All right, so hang with us. We'll be back in a minute. Should I get a second estimate on this remodel? So why not do that for your insurance needs? Better yet, why not have someone comparison shop for you? At insurephilly.com, you can get up to 10 quotes in about 10 minutes with top insurance carriers like Progressive, Travelers, Nationwide, Selective, Liberty Mutual, Encompass, Kemper, and Berkshire Hathaway. Owner-agent Matt Maloney provides top national carriers with top local service. Just go to insurephilly.com to get your quote online or call Matt at 215-300-9590 for all your insurance needs, auto, home, life, business, and Medicare insurance plans. Make sure to go to insurephilly.com today or call 215-300-9590. Matt Maloney gives you the national carriers you recognize from a local company you can trust. insurephilly.com. We are back with another episode of the Santa Boot First podcast. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for hanging through the break there. As always, sponsor Matt Maloney. If you need some insurance help, give Matt a call. Check him out, insurephilly.com. Up to 10 quotes in about 10 minutes. We got your back. Or no, we got you covered. Got to start bringing the hashtag back. We got you covered. And as always, powered by Pops as well. All right, so we touched on the Eagles fiasco and how the season ended. Touched a little bit on the draft. Touched on some potential all-time Eagles. I think all 3 of them are all-time Eagles. Maybe there's still maybe a debate on Kelsey and the center with Chuck. But all-time Eagles.
According to our listeners, it's not a debate.
No offense against your listeners. I think they're on closer to your age.
No, not your listeners, our listeners.
Your friends.
Yeah, they are closer to my age.
Yeah, and no knock, Jack and
Johnny Bowe.
No knock on you, gentlemen. I just think if you ask anybody under the age of 55, they're going to say Chuck. Yeah, he was a linebacker. Right? It's the image of him standing over Frank. That's what everybody sees.
Yes.
When you think of Chuck.
Yep.
You don't think of Chuck squatting, getting ready to hike the ball.
No, you don't. Yes, you think of the clothesline of Frank Gifford and the standing over top of Frank Gifford. You think of sitting on Jim Taylor at the end of the 60 championship game.
You're not doing that at the center position.
No, we're not doing that at the center position. I just love that story about when he sat on Jim Taylor and watched the clock on Franco Field tick down to 0. And when it ran down to 0, he said to Jim Taylor, he says, "Now you can get up." Yeah, that's you're right. You people don't think of Chuck Bednarik as a center because of those, especially those two things. But like I said, if he's got multiple All-Pro seasons at center along with linebacker. So
Okay. So now we have other players that could be leaving the team. I want to get your thoughts on this. So they're saying that the way the contracts were restructured from Malik Jackson and Alshon, they could easily be cut and actually save us some money. I forget what the dollar amounts were, but I think they were significant. No love lost there. Is that anybody upset about that? Jackson, I liked the signing when it happened.
Yeah.
But this year they signed Hargrave, who, didn't really blow the doors off of anything, but he's like 4 years younger, plays the same position. And I think he got paid more than Malik.
DJ, shut up.
Dude, still Bradley.
Does he mean Sean Bradley?
You're embarrassing the family, dude. Stop it with that.
I saw it at the same time you did.
Yeah. Is that post wobbly Stuart Bradley or pre wobbly Stuart Bradley? Is greater than Chuck. Knucklehead.
Nebraska, great.
Yeah.
D-Jax, is he gone?
I believe so. Yeah.
Nope. I think he's gonna come back.
You
I
think he's
they're gonna
back?
keep him on the yep. He's in love with Deshaun Jackson.
Who? Howie or
Doug?
Howie.
Oh, Howie.
So maybe that's the litmus test then. Who's really in charge?
Yeah.
If D-Jax stays, Howie's in charge.
Yeah.
If D-Jax is gone, Doug's got the reins.
Yeah, Doug's got the coaching. But I think Deshaun Jackson stays.
I like that breakdown you just gave there. Or was that you that gave that breakdown?
He agreed with me and then gave the break.
Okay. If DJ
It was a
stays,
collaborative.
It's
It's
Howie
kind of like the
making-
Eagles' offense runs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jalen Mills, he's a free agent. You think he would want to come back here? You think they could get him cheap? I mean, I don't think he's going to get a lot of money.
Yeah.
Probably could get him cheap, but
That's probably the only reason why you would come back. They need players that can play in the secondary.
Yeah.
And they are
he's-
going to have salary issues, so that's why I'm saying cheap.
Mhm.
Right. And I don't know if he's the biggest problem in the secondary.
No.
I don't think he is. He can give you quality play in spurts. He's going to get burnt here and there. He's going to be out of position here and there. But I think for the most part, he's a pretty solid contributor.
Well, here's a factor that might come into play. Rodney McLeod, another year older, coming off an injury. He's still under contract. I'm not sure what they saved by cutting him. I think it was only like $3 million when I was looking last night. But then you're even thinner in your secondary, right? You have no veterans back there at that
I would
point.
just keep both on this.
Keep both of them.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to keep Jalen Mills because he's A, cheap, and B, they're going to say, we love his versatility.
Well, he is a free agent. He's going to have to be signed to
Right.
come back. So he's going to have to want to come back here.
I think he
And
would.
I don't know why he wouldn't, right?
Right.
Yeah.
If he's got an assured starting position.
You have to bring Rodney McLeod back almost. Like, who else?
Right.
Who else you have?
Right.
The only person we have is Slay.
But he's not
have
going to be your
Kevon
safety.
Wallace.
How many are still under contract other than Slay?
I can look that up for you.
Like Maddox is.
Yeah, I think a good majority, like because
Are
a
they?
lot of these guys are younger guys
Le'Veon.
that they signed on a couple.
Okay.
Maddox is still on his rookie contract. I don't know if LeBlanc. Yeah, I don't know if he's done this year. If he's got another one.
DJ.
What's he saying now?
Got to keep Mills. He can't change his hair color.
Who were the other players I was looking at? That here's just a complete shot in the dark, off the wall. Any chance they get rid of Fletcher?
No.
No?
No, I agree. I don't think so. No, they
He's the heart of the defense right now.
right. He for all of his faults, which are a few, not many, but a few. He's probably their best. Not probably. He is their best defensive lineman, and their most consistent offensive lineman.
Defense.
Their defense. I'm sorry. Thank you. one of those faults that he does have is he tends to take time off, and you don't hear his name for long stretches of time. I don't know how many times I've been down the stadium, and I'll turn to somebody and say, have they said Fletcher Cox yet today? I don't remember hearing his name called. And they'll, yeah, I think you're right. I don't think his name has been
Dick
called.
Cox going off the middle.
Stop.
Is that because he's that dominating that they're double and triple teaming?
He does get double teamed.
Double Cox?
I'm not going any further with this.
So
I don't know what's so funny about that.
I looked up who their 2021 free agent, like who's all up on their free agent, who are free agents. So you have, I mean, of the notable players, you have Peters, Mills, Duke Riley, the stud linebacker we have.
Just don't tell me Nate Gary's on there. He's got to be on this team next year.
Nate Gary is on there. Yes.
Oh no, not
God
Nate.
damn it.
Nickel Roby Coleman, Vinnie Curry, Boston Scott, Joshua Perkins. I'm just trying to give you like main guys, but I don't know if I miss Greg Ward.
I like Greg Ward
I like
a lot.
him too.
I mean,
you gonna drive your stimulus check down to Howie so they can re-sign Greg Ward.
I'm not going that far, but I mean, the guy catches the overwhelming majority of throws to him, and he's not the fastest, he's not the biggest, he's not the strongest, but somehow he gets open enough to throw him the ball. I think he's a solid possession type receiver. He gets you first downs. He'll get you the. Is he going to get a 50-yard reception? No.
Yes.
No.
He'll get a 6-yard screen and maybe take it 50.
And maybe take it 50. Yes. But he'll get you first downs, and you get inside the red zone, and he'll get you the occasional touchdown. I think he's worth keeping around. I don't know how much he's going to cost you, but I think he's worth keeping around. I think he's a really solid player.
When Sanders up, is he? I know he's.
Who?
Nah,
Miles
Sanders? He's still got a couple years.
He's got a couple years.
Yeah,
So the breakdown for Greg Ward is, well, he was signed before his, I mean, obviously before his contract's up this year, is 2 years, 1.80 mil, 1.8. 2 years at 1.8.
He's cheap,
Mhm.
and for what he does, he's got a spot. But
Yeah.
we're talking about drafting wide receivers. They drafted 3 last year,
Mhm.
and you know what a name that I totally forgot about until I was looking through the roster last night. No, Marquise Goodwin,
Mhm.
the guy that we signed as a free agent from San Fran.
Mhm.
He's got 2 more years, I think, left on his contract. He
Yeah.
He opted out for this season.
Right. That's right.
So you're pretty full with wide receiver there. Fulgham, I would keep Fulgham, but I don't know what they're thinking.
They got to get him in. They got to work him into the game plan more. He had those 2 solid weeks and then just kind of disappeared. But they stopped throwing the ball too. Now, granted, we always talk. Teams make adjustments. Defenses make adjustments. You have to make the adjustment to the adjustment.
Mhm.
I don't know if he didn't make those adjustments. I don't know if the offense didn't make those adjustments for him to get open like he was and to make those catches like he did. But yeah, I would look to keep him.
They cut Jackson and Alshon this all season. Keep Ward, Rager, Godwin, and Fulgham.
Well, Rieger's not going anywhere.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere.
Not at least not for his
contract.
contract.
Like a cornerback, linebacker, or a line.
And don't forget, they got Hightower, they got Watkins.
Yeah,
They seem to like them.
Right.
They were putting them in the game and they're throwing the ball to them.
So they're stacked on wide receivers. I don't know why they would go after another one.
But if he's a generational talent, that's what you hear with these guys at the top of the draft.
I'm sorry, then it's cut Rager and Fulgham. Not Rager, Ward and Fulgham. I'm sorry. If that's what you're gonna do.
I think you have to. I think you're
You're
good.
cutting Ward.
If you're telling me you're using the number 6 pick,
They go draft another.
then I better see Rager, the number 6 pick,
Yeah, if
and
they,
whoever the hell else you want
Yeah.
on that field every down.
yeah, if they take a wide receiver, yes, you're going to end up cutting another wide receiver.
And I have a
It's
feeling
gonna-
it would be Greg Ward they wouldn't bring back,
Yeah.
or maybe even Deshaun Jackson.
and or Alshon.
I think
Alshon's
Alshon's gone no
gone.
matter
Yeah,
what.
I
I
think
think
he's
they're going
gone.
to get rid of him. No matter what.
Yeah, I meant Deshaun.
Yeah. You said Jackson.
Okay.
Whilst we're talking all this money,
Oh,
what about cap space next year?
We're pretty tight.
Yeah,
And that's why
I've
I'm-
heard we're 70 over.
Well, I think that's right now with the players. I think after they clear some of these free agents, we're still. I think we were like 5th or 6th on the list when I looked at last night. I don't know what site you're looking at there, Bob. With Spot.
Sport Track.
Yes, yeah, that'll give you the salary cap numbers and where we're at, and where they're expected to be. But we're high up there. We don't have a lot of money, which is why I'm asking a guy like Fletcher or BG, like some of these older veteran guys that
BG might be in trouble.
do they get rid of one of these guys? Is there going to be a surprise move? And then Howie just pretty much. Yeah, but he's on the end of his contract, right? So
Yeah, but like, what has he done in the past?
no, and that's fine. That's what I'm
Since
saying.
the
Like
Super
that's
Bowl
not going to really,
year. Since the Super Bowl year, what has he done?
but that's not going to save us money on the cap. And that's the problem. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some
Big.
veteran, big contract player that's gone, unless they could talk these guys into restructuring their contracts. And if I'm looking at this team and saying, you want me to restructure for a team that's going to be rebuilding for the next 3 or 4 years? No, just cut me. Just cut me then, and I'll go
We'll
make
find
money
out
elsewhere.
maybe.
Yeah. Fletcher Cox is not going to have a hard time finding a job. BG maybe, because he's got to fit in a certain system and he's getting a little older. Love him. One of the greatest plays in the Eagles' history. But I would not be surprised to see somebody.
Joe White says we're 74
yanked.
mil over.
That's
74
going into next season? Is that where we'll be? And I don't know if they're increasing the cap too.
So, I have another article here. It's pretty close. It's actually worse. 75 million over the projected cap number.
Another reason to trade Carson.
No, I would not.
Well,
I'm not going to trade him.
I heard today over the next 2 years are guaranteed, and I think it's 47 mil.
They would save a lot of money if they cut him.
And 25 next year.
They would have to eat some money and save.
No, I don't think they won't save any money by trading or cutting Carson. I think
all
they
of it.
eat the contract. Yes, the first 2 years.
Unless
Like-
the reports that he wants out are true and he really wants out and he says, I'll buy myself out.
Unless he does that, yeah. If he's willing to rework the contract, sure. But
Are you willing to rework the contract?
I could care less. It's
Yeah,
not my money.
decision.
True. This is true.
Yeah, Joe says the dead cap space is a killer for him.
Pictures talk now.
Damn. He
Some-
says that Saints are 99 million over
Yeah,
the cap.
Saints are like,
That's insane.
That's all right. They're going to win the Super Bowl this year and then they'll be fine with it.
Yeah, I guess.
I heard Drew Brees gonna retire after this year.
They win the Super Bowl.
Jack says they're going to have to eat it. Who's going to take him at 25 next year?
There would be a team
Colts-
out there. We talked about it a
They-
little bit.
Yeah, I think it's
Somebody will
yeah.
do a Brock Osweiler deal if they really need to.
Yeah,
Yep.
the Colts
Yep.
want him really bad. I don't know why.
I don't know if the Colts have the space for him, but he's back there with Frank
Rivers.
Reich.
Philip Rivers.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's on a 1-year deal, right? Rivers.
I think, unfortunately, you're going to see. I mean, you might see Carson Wentz gone, but either way, unless he restructures his deal,
I
the
don't think
Eagles
he
are still
should-
going to
I
carry.
don't see.
it.
I don't think Wentz goes. Doug is so Doug still has faith in him.
I think you're going to see one of Fletcher Cox or Brandon Graham gone.
That's
If Doug has his way, I think it's BJ's gone.
I really know about that.
I don't know. You trying to bring in a new defensive coordinator and you're going to tell him, I'm getting rid of one of your two best players. Are you okay with that? You still want this job?
Yeah, that might be a deal breaker.
Unless it's somebody like a Rex Ryan that's just really looking to get back into the league.
You know who I wouldn't mind seeing as defensive coordinator is Seth Joyner. And I would tell him, put your money where your mouth is and come.
Do you think his mouth has gotten him any love in that front office?
No, no.
Do you think they'd offer him a
No,
job?
and that's
No,
and
but-
that's why if I'm Jeff and Howie, I say, okay, big boy, put your money where your mouth is. What do you got?
Howie doesn't seem like an okay big boy kind of guy to me.
No, he doesn't. especially when that guy's 3 times his size.
Yeah.
They don't
Yeah.
want that guy in anywhere near that
You think
organization.
You think he speaks his mind too much?
I think that
I don't
that's what
think-
they need.
But he's being paid to do that, though.
Yeah,
Wow. Is he still?
right.
He's still on.
He's being paid to do that right now.
And I like the
And
honesty.
I love the honesty, and I think when the paycheck switches over to a team paycheck, he's going to have to zip it up the mouth,
Yeah,
have to
to a
zip it up.
certain
I
extent.
or
I
at least
want
keep it behind closed doors.
I think they like the soft, quiet mentality of people. They hired Doug for a reason.
But that doesn't get you anywhere.
I agree, but they hired Doug for a reason, so they
I
can
have
push
a
him
question.
around.
Is there a leader on this team at all? Like, is there a leader on the Eagles?
Player or coach or either.
Either.
Some people won't like it,
Kelsey
but Malcolm Jenkins.
he was.
Yeah.
I think Kelsey is a leader on the team.
Yeah.
I don't.
Why not?
He's
Nah,
gonna-
he's
I think he
I-
leads by example, and
he-
I
he
think he
leads by
speaks up when he needs
example.
to. He's
I-
not a
I don't-
fiery
I don't think
guy.
There's a coach out there that says
I'll agree with you there. I don't think there's a coach who leads.
I know sure as hell Doug doesn't.
No, I tend to agree with you there. And on the defense, you would like it to be Fletcher, but
Or BJ.
or yeah, maybe Brandon Graham, but I don't know if he does or not.
Delay would be a nice one too.
Yeah, Jack says Deuce maybe. Yeah. As far as a coach is concerned. And your brother says tell Xbox boy to relax. I welcome your input, Andrew, just for the record.
It is much
Whatever that needs to
appreciated.
be done. So
Better than DJ just sitting here waiting for a chance to throw in a 69. That's all he does the whole show.
You should get back to writing that paper. That's too.
No, actually, he stated earlier that he's done.
All right, playoffs for this weekend. I'm going to get some playoff predictions, see where you guys are at, and maybe we can still get a quick Sixers point or two in.
Oh, Nets are up 28-26 after the first. Thanks, Joe White.
All right. So we got Saturday games coming up with the do you like the addition of a wild card game? You know, now there's only one bye. So we get an extra game this weekend, more football.
I'm okay with it due to the circumstances of the year that we've had. But going forward, no, I'm not a big fan of it.
No?
No. Because I like the NFL is set up almost perfectly, much like the NCAA tournament was set up perfectly. Why do you have to mess with perfection? 64 teams. I know it's all about money. I got that part.
Yeah,
It's
I
all
wasn't-
about
I
money.
wasn't necessarily going to go there, but go ahead.
No, it's always about
It
money
is.
in
It's
sports.
yeah.
You had the perfect setup with 64 teams. You had the perfect setup with 6 teams in each conference, the top 2 getting a bye. You had the perfect setup with 16 games. Now you're going to throw in an oddball number of games next year with 17. Come on.
Well, I'm talking. Well,
And an
all right.
extra bye. So now we got to freaking go 2 weeks without football during the season. Come on.
It's
I'm
not.
not a-
It's not an extra bye. It's an
It's-
extra bye week, but it's
Aren't they putting in an extra bye for each team next year?
yeah. But
Because
you're
of
still going to have
17?
games. It's not like
Oh, I know.
We all
but
have to
it's-
say
it's
bye
not going to
week.
be. It's not going to be
I
our
know.
team.
I know.
You know, several years ago when they had 2 byes a season, I
Yeah.
hated
when it was a
that.
10-game season too,
Yeah,
right?
I
Yeah.
hated it, and I'm going to hate it now.
But I like more playoff football though. I like there being
Nah,
an extra game.
like I said, due to the circumstances, okay. But going forward, give me 6 teams, 2 with a bye, perfect.
All right.
But then you got to suspend this playing overseas stuff.
Now, I'm not a real big fan of that either, and I guarantee you, if you ask the teams that have to do it, they're not big fans of it either, because NFL players are creatures of habit. They play 1:00 games on Sunday. You know, they have a practice schedule, whatever it is, and that's that. They have the occasional oddball game throw in on Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night, whatever. But they are creatures of habit. They love a routine. They want to maintain that routine as much as possible. When you throw in an overseas game, it just screws everything up. And I guarantee you, because it's not like they go there and they go sightseeing and they hit all the pubs in town. They're not.
You
doing
don't
that.
know that.
Well, you're right. We
You
don't
didn't
know
travel
that.
with them. You don't know that.
You're right. We don't know that. But everything is thrown out of whack. You know, they don't get their regular practice schedule in. They don't get their regular sleep hours in, whatever that might be in. Everything is just thrown up in the air and everything falls the way it falls that week. And I guarantee you, every single one of them would say, no, I don't like going over to London to play a game.
Well, this would piss me off too as a fan. Like if you're coming off a bye week and then the following Sunday you have to wake
Teams
up at
away.
8 o'clock to watch the game.
I don't think it's going to happen again this year. I think just with all the COVID
Mhm.
stuff going on, I don't think there's going to be international games again this year
Good.
coming up. But I don't know if I agree with you. Think of some of these younger guys that maybe never left the country.
Yeah, I get that, but you're just all you're doing is going to a hotel in a different country.
Come on,
You really think they're going out and hitting all the pubs in London?
not hitting all of them.
or even two of them?
I'm sure
maybe for lunch.
I'm sure they set up a little bus tour for the guys and go see the Louvre.
Well, they
You
do have
know?
the bye week usually.
What?
The Louvre.
The Louvre is in Paris.
I know.
Typically, the bye week is after that game. So
Yeah, maybe they stay over
Right,
with the
that's-
family or
that's-
whatever.
Maybe. I'm
they usually
not.
typically get Monday
Now-
off too.
You mentioned something about waking up at 8 o'clock watching a game.
Yep.
When the Eagles played the Jags, 2 years ago?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
We went up to the Eddington house. I took DJ and Andrew with me. Went to the Eddington house. The place was packed. Everybody was there like by like 8:30. We got there probably about 9 o'clock. Place was packed. Every table was taken. Every seat in the bar was taken. People were getting eggs,
Kegs and eggs.
kegs and eggs.
Uh-huh.
You know, I mean, it was a really fun, cool, great atmosphere. I loved every second of it. And did we sit at a table with people we didn't know because there was no room?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got there a little late, so we were kind of shut
Rookie
out from
move.
the table. And we ended up
DJ was
sitting,
probably showering, right?
we ended up sitting at a table with a couple that was probably in their early to mid 60s, and it was a really cool atmosphere, and I really enjoyed it a lot. It was a lot of fun. That being said, I wouldn't want to have to do that, too often. Once in a while is good.
Your buddy Jack here says if he's in Cali, it would be at 5 a.m.
Oh wow.
I have a buddy that lives out in Cali, and he says football out there is great because you're waking up,
Mhm.
having some breakfast, and then it starts,
Mhm.
and it's all done by like dinner time for
Yeah,
us. And
yeah.
I would love that.
Yeah, and Monday Night Football starts at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to stay up to midnight to watch the damn game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you.
All right, let's get to the playoffs. So Saturday, we start off the playoffs with Indy at Buffalo. Who you liking there?
Buffalo.
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 Buffalo sweep. All right. Then we move to the Rams at Seattle.
Rams.
Rams, okay.
Ooh.
Not impressed with the Seahawks at all.
I'm with you there, and the Rams defense is great. Yeah, I'll say great. They're playing really well. I just don't know because Goff's not playing. Not that Goff is Brady, but you got, in essence, a rookie, which is Walford's second year in the league, I think.
Yep.
Is he a rookie this year?
Yeah, because he played in the AAF, I think.
Okay.
It's the XFL.
So,
the XFL or the
yeah,
AAF?
one out of them like lower.
yeah, I don't know. Putting that guy in this situation,
I think he comes through.
you think he comes through? All right.
I just hate Seattle.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a dog in this fight here either way. I don't know if their defense is going to have to really shut down Seattle, which isn't going to be impossible to do. But Russ can go off.
All you have to do is lock up DK Metcalf.
Tyler Lockett, if Tyler Lockett's left alone, he'll put some
Tyler
numbers
Lockett
up
can
on
do
you.
some damage.
If they can get the running game going,
And as long as Russell Wilson is available and upright,
I should have wrote down the
can't
spread
count
for
him
that
out.
game. I think it's only like 3.5, honestly. So Vegas expects it to be a close game too. I'm only going with Seattle because of the quarterback situation in LA.
I like Rams. I think the
Me?
Who you got, Bob?
This is a tough one, man.
I'm Seahawks for the record.
You got Seahawks?
Yeah.
All right, we got 2 Seahawks, 1 Rams so far. It's
It's
3.5 is the spread.
you know, and that's favoring Seattle, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Hmm.
no, yeah. And the over under is 42, which
What's Goff's
is
injury?
low.
What is his injury? Is he injured?
I'm not sure what it is. I don't think he's on COVID. He was on the COVID list at one point, but
I have no clue.
I don't know if he's still. Oh no, he had a thumb surgery. Is what it was.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
throwing hand.
I don't know if it was just throwing hand or not.
You know what? I'm gonna
Cast it
go.
DJ said broken thumb.
I'm gonna go Seahawks.
All
I
right.
just didn't. I didn't like what I saw from the quarterback there with the Rams, the backup there. He just didn't seem like he could move the ball.
Yeah,
and
they're
they're running games like all over the place.
Yeah,
I like
they're-
Seattle.
Their running game's kind of manic. They don't know who they're gonna like. Akers has been playing okay, but they don't. Then they might throw in Malcolm Brown or DJ Henderson. And it's just kind of all over the place.
Right. I'm gonna go Seahawks.
DJ says Seahawks and they cover.
Way to go out on a limb there, DJ.
Right.
seriously, dude.
All right, and then we end Saturday night with Tampa Bay at Washington.
Tampa Bay.
Tampa.
Although
I hate to do this, I think the football team falls.
I was waiting for that.
Oh man.
What do you got,
looking at
Bob?
me now?
Yeah.
Ah.
I think Chase Young destroys Tom Brady.
Well, I'll tell you what,
He
man.
put some locker room comments out there. Some chalkboard.
He did, but you know what? When you hear him explain it, why wouldn't I be excited to go against the greatest of all time? I agree with him. If you're going to cower in that situation or back down or backtrack from that situation, you're already half beat.
I'm not afraid of Tom Brady. I'm going to be honest. I don't think he's as good as he used to be.
I'll go with that.
The defensive line for the football team is on.
Well, here's the thing. He
Come on,
doesn't do
John.
well against a good defensive line. When he's getting pressured.
Yes.
And
if
they
you
can
knock him around.
Yeah.
And he was like that younger,
Mm-hmm.
10, 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
If you knocked him around, he didn't like it. Now that he's
Older.
ancient, he really doesn't like it.
I'm
So
me.
Thi-
I'm gonna go Tampa Bay in a very, very close game.
it's the spread
Well-
on that one. See, now
John-
Vegas has Tampa by 8. So take that for what it's worth. I agree. Washington, their defense, if they're on track, they're going to give Brady fits. I don't know if their secondary can keep up with the receivers. It depends on if Evans is playing or not. I know he hyperextended his knee last week. It sounds like he's going to be okay, but Evans, Gronk, Godwin, Antonio Brown, if Brady,
No running backs.
yeah, if Brady can get going,
I think.
then it could be a
Yeah.
blowout.
Yeah.
It could be a blowout. But Tampa Bay's defense, they're kind of like Washington. Their line is decent. Secondary's okay. But Alex Smith isn't really throwing the ball all that much. Like, he's not deep passes. And
Not throwing the ball 50 yards down the field.
yeah, I think I have to go to Tampa Bay too. But
Wow.
if there's an upset of the weekend, a big upset of the weekend, I think
That's gonna
this would be it.
Yeah.
All right. Hold on a second.
What do you got?
My buddy down in North Wildwood, John Ferris, says the GOAT by 30.
Dude, what is he?
I said, really? He said, really? What, and then what did he say?
I don't know about 30, but this has
well-
a potential to be a blowout game.
I don't know.
It
I
can
think
be,
I
but
think
I think-
DC's defense keeps them in the game. It gives them a puncher's chance.
Yeah.
I think Tampa Bay wins, but I don't think it's by a blowout.
I don't. I think
And
it's-
unless Tampa Bay scores late points to stretch a lead, I think Tampa Bay keeps them at arm's length during the course of the game, but I don't think they're going to blow them out unless they get a late touchdown to make it like double digits or 12 plus.
I think it's gonna be a game-winning field goal.
On which side? The Washington side?
Yeah.
Wow.
Ooh. But
And
you know what though? You know what? If they're gonna win, I could see them winning like that. like an
Stick a
ugly
dagger
type of win.
right in
Yeah.
Brady's stomach once again. The Titans did last year.
I'd be fine with that. No Brady love on this
I
side.
can't stand
Yeah,
Tom.
really.
I hate Tom Brady probably more than I hate Troy Aikman, and that's saying something.
Oh my God, this guy, you're killing me, Bo. He says they had a puncher's chance against the mighty Sudfeld.
Yeah, that's what I look at. Like their defense is what won that game for them.
Yeah,
Alex
Yeah.
Smith didn't really
Right.
do much
Alex
against
Smith
us.
didn't do a whole lot.
It-
and the dude, that bottle of pops, or maybe even Santa there, might be more mobile than Alex Smith right now. And that's no knock against
Expecting to be
him.
immobile? Do you not know
No,
what's
that's what
happening,
I'm saying. It's no knock against Alex Smith. I'm fascinated by the way he's come back and been able to play. I'm mesmerized by that. But the dude just you watched him that whole game against. He couldn't get rid of the ball fast enough. He does not want to get hit. When he scrambles, he's not looking to extend the play. He's looking to get rid of the ball. That's why he's scrambling.
For all you bettors out there, if J.D. McKissick's receptions are anything less than 4.5, take that bet. Alex Smith is the king of the dump off to McKissick. McKissick will
Yeah.
have 5 receptions in the first half. Just a little. That's my betting tip for the week.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so it sounds like most of us think Tampa Bay. All right, we're going to Sunday. Baltimore or Tennessee. I'll go out with this one first. I love Tennessee this year. I think Tennessee's going to the Super Bowl.
Wow.
I'm taking Tennessee.
Game's at Baltimore. Not that it makes a difference.
That's at Tennessee.
Oh, it's at Tennessee.
Yep, Tennessee beat Baltimore up last year. And Lamar's out there saying, he's ready for his revenge. He's ready to write it, but I don't think it's happening. Tennessee's defense is suspect. They don't have – Baltimore's going to be able to score against them.
Was the Tennessee-Baltimore game a playoff game last year?
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, revenge factor?
Revenge factor, I don't think it's coming into play here.
Really?
I just love Tennessee. And like I said, their defense, Lamar can run all he wants and attempt to throw all he wants.
Is Clowney out there or down there in Tennessee?
Clowney?
Yeah.
Now, where did he end up?
I
Is he
think
down there
is
still? I
yeah.
thought he.
Really?
Yeah. I think he's down there. I don't think he's played all year, though. But there's some type of injury or something. I'm sure DJ or Joe would have that information.
All right. Jack is saying Lamar's overrated. DJ's saying Derrick Henry is all they need.
Yeah.
I agree with one, but not necessarily
I
the
think
other.
the Ravens defense can stop Derrick Henry.
Stop or tamper him or
Control him, at least. Control
contain him.
him. Yeah.
So containing Derrick Henry means he only gets 120 yards and 1 touchdown.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Instead of
At-
130 and
that's
3 touchdowns.
yeah.
DJ says Clowney is with the Titans, but not playing because he's hurt.
That's one guy I'm glad the Eagles did not go after,
No.
and I was against it from the
Mm.
start.
I don't know if Lamar is overrated. I agree.
he-
Derrick
the
Henry
only
is
thing
a
Lamar is
really
good
good
at
player.
He's running away from everyone. You ask him to throw the ball, I don't think he knows how to.
Yeah.
Look at the whole-
I think I don't know.
he only knows the read option. Like that's the only play he knows how to run.
Yeah,
He's got some
but I
not
think,
great receivers. Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown, he's got speed, but he's small.
He has Mark
And-
Andrews that he can just throw.
And that's all he throws to.
Yeah.
Lamar's legs can cover up a lot of mistakes he makes.
So can Derrick Henry's arms.
Yeah. Stiff arm me into next Christmas.
Yeah, he really does. You're right, Andrew. He does stiff arm a lot of people.
He sent Josh Norman into the damn bench.
Is everybody with me then on Tennessee? Is that what I'm
Yeah,
hearing?
Yes.
I'm
Yeah,
taking
Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Oh man.
What, Deke? You don't? you
Yeah,
don't
no,
like it?
I'll go with Tennessee. Yeah. I'm with you
Where
on
did-
Tennessee.
I'm surprised where Tennessee came from. Weren't they like really bad for the longest time? And like last year they just blew up.
Yeah, it all
Yeah,
started.
they went to the AFC Championship game last year, right?
No.
It
Didn't they?
all started with a little Eagles trip down to.
Oh boy.
We should have blown them out. It should have made that weekend so much better. And Corey Davis in the back of the end zone with no time left. Son of a bitch.
We were rocking and rolling till about 3:30 that afternoon.
That was rough. It was the
Yeah.
worst part of the weekend.
It
And it was
really
the main part of the
Yep.
weekend.
Yeah. I Whenever when we came back and we were talking about that, when I was telling people, I said we had a blast from the minute we got down there to about 3:30 Sunday afternoon, and then the shit hit the fan.
Memories.
Wow, DJ. Nashville was awesome. Game didn't even bother me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. All right, next game. Chicago at New Orleans. Is this even?
New Orleans.
Yeah.
Saints.
Saints.
Slant Boy back or is he still
Nolans.
Who's that?
Nolans.
injured? Slant Boy, is he back or is he still
Nolans.
out?
Who?
Michael Thomas, is he still out or is he back?
Oh no, I think he's supposed to be back. But do they
He's not
want him?
really-
Like,
yeah,
he's got so many things going on, fighting his teammates, and
Yeah.
Nolans.
I
Well,
think
it
it's
seems like Alvin Kamara can take care of anything. Like,
well, as long as everybody clears, right? They had
Yeah.
their whole running back,
oh yeah, they
their
don't
whole
have-
running back
yeah,
core
they
had
don't have a running
COVID. They
back.
all So, but I think it sounds like everybody's healthy.
Put
Saints-
Taysom Hill back there. They
that
love
should
him
be-
anywhere else.
See now, I'm getting into a fantasy playoff league, right? And I want to try to be sneaky and add Taysom Hill as my tight end, but I don't want to ask the guy running it. Hopefully, he's not listening.
Yeah.
I don't want to ask the guy running it, and he tells me no, I can't do that. He's a quarterback, because I think that's a good move. Because I think in New Orleans, my Super Bowl picks, New Orleans and Tennessee. That's going to be Super Bowl.
You think that?
That's
I
where
think
I'm
it's-
going.
I think it's Green Bay Chiefs.
All right, well, let's get to. I want to hear your pick
All right.
for the Sunday night game. Cleveland at Pittsburgh. Who you got?
See, before you
Watch.
Oh,
do that,
This is a loaded question.
it is a loaded question because if you look at the Cleveland team right now, they're ravaged by people on the COVID list.
Correct.
Yeah, and their head
That's
coach
where I'm
has
going.
it. Their head coach has it. So
And it sucks because if they were full squad, I
They
would
would've-
take the Browns.
yeah, I'm taking the
Let me
Steelers.
put it out here. This is what sucks. Put COVID aside, their coaching staff, they're frauds. The Browns are frauds. I don't.
Wow.
Everybody loves
Really?
the Browns. Baker
I don't love
stinks.
them. I don't like them.
DJ's arguing that.
Baker stinks.
He says,
Come
take
on.
the Browns. The Steelers are frauds.
No.
Oh man, he's
It's
saying
still-
Steelers are frauds.
Psh,
Wait, can I
I'm not saying the
can I
Steelers
just-
aren't frauds.
Can I just say this about Kevin Stefanski? Can't go wrong with a pro guy.
Oh, you know what? I got the Steelers, guys. That answer right there.
Look, I don't think it helps that they're not going to have the coach, and a bunch of
Oh.
players got COVID. But I don't.
It's a couple
I don't-
coaches that have it.
So Cleveland was last in the playoffs 20 years ago.
18.
Was it 18? All right.
No, 2002.
Did they win that game? So they might have been in the playoffs 18 years ago. When's the last time
Don't
they
ask
won?
me, I wasn't alive. Ask yourself that.
When's the last time they actually won a playoff game? 27, 28 years ago?
Probably. Ask this guy right here. You probably know.
I don't know why people love Cleveland. I,
think
just
if,
can't get
if
it. I don't
Cleveland
get
had a full staff, they would have probably won this game.
The coaches don't get on the field, right? If I'm
No, they
mistaken.
But like they have,
But they put them in a position to succeed.
They have a
So-
game plan.
So Stefanski's not on his Zoom iPad and telling them how to run plays and going through the playbook with them, and he needs to be on the sideline.
He's not running the ball.
These St. Joe's guys aren't smart enough to figure out how to coach from the sideline when he's got COVID.
We got a homing pigeon. He's going to send in the plays.
I'd bet the house against Cleveland this week. I don't like Cleveland at
If
all.
the Cleveland wins, I'll be happy.
St. Joe's would beat Cleveland.
So let me just say this, right?
Wow.
So this is
We
this
got
is,
the comments flying in on this game.
This is as recent as 5 hours ago. So it's recent. Safety Rodney Harrison is the latest to become, I guess, to be placed on the COVID-19 list. Then you have their Pro Bowl left guard, Joe Bitonio, receiver Cordero Hodge. Kevin Stefanski, the head coach. Each person will not be taking part in Sunday's wild card. Then you have Andrew Sandejo, which is someone who we
That's a
know.
big loss.
Oh, yeah, right. But
Please
here's
heal
the other
quickly.
thing. So you have Jarvis Landry, Rashard Higgins, Donovan Peoples-Jones, and linebackers B.J. Goodson and Jacob Phillips on the reserve COVID-19 list.
Wow.
That's significant.
Yeah.
That's loss.
Yeah.
That's a loss. And
That's
then you
a
have
loss. That's an easy loss. Look, I'm gonna
There you go.
break character for a minute. Maybe can you shut the mics off? 'Cause I don't want this to be. But I see DJ's comment. I'm gonna break character for a minute.
Wait, which comment?
Which one? Wait, what
The
did he-
most overrated quarterback in the NFL
What did he say? What did he say?
is Baker Mayfield. More overrated than Rodgers.
Wow.
All right.
I'm gonna break character. We'll never speak of that again. I never said that because Rodgers is still the most overrated, but Baker Mayfield is truly the most overrated quarterback.
But I will say this: you needed someone with an
I do not
attitude at
agree.
quarterback.
He's got a shitty
He's
attitude. He's a
definitely got an
dickhead.
attitude.
He's
Yeah,
a
but-
dickhead.
I just think you needed someone with that cocky attitude
Not
to
in
fill
Cleveland.
that quarterback to break that quarterback curse.
You got to love
I'm
those
not saying he's
commercials, though.
good.
I do like his commercials. I'll give him that. But he's just he's an arrogant prick. Like we talked earlier about the Giants and entitlement. He just feels like
I don't.
he rubbed me wrong all through college when he would go into the kids of St. Mary's College, not even a college, prep school, and plant his flag in the middle of their field and point at players that were the size of me and Andrew. Like he's just a dick, and he
So-
doesn't deserve to win anything.
So you have DJ here who's coming at you pretty hard.
DJ could come at me because he slurps Baker Mayfield, and I get it.
He said Rodgers might win the MVP this
He
year.
might. Rodgers could win the Super Bowl too.
Hater. He's calling you a
And
hater.
he knows. I don't shy away from that.
It's funny how much hate he has for number 12.
It's not hate. It's just overrated. And now you're bringing out the
Well, all right,
you're bringing the
overrated.
Baker hate out. Is what you're bringing.
Yeah.
You're festering that.
I don't. I like Baker Mayfield, but
I know Brody likes him too. I think it's these young guys.
Why do you like him?
Oklahoma.
Right.
I think he's overrated. I agree with you. But I just think he was the right guy to fill that quarterback spot. They were ravaged by different They had a quarterback for every season the
Yeah.
past 20 years. So I think that he was the right guy with the right attitude, the right mentality to get in there and fill that
I
spot
think,
for
if
the
anything,
Cleveland
if
Browns.
Cleveland somehow wins this game, it's going to be because of the running backs. They have an
Maybe.
unbelievable running game.
It's going to have to be because
Yeah.
they have nobody else. He's got nobody to throw it to apparently.
Except for the tight ends, Austin Hooper.
Austin
and,
Hooper, yeah.
And who's that other?
David Njoku,
Yeah.
and they have one other there, Harrison Bryant or something like that. Yeah.
I
All
think.
right, so we're all going with Pittsburgh. Is that what I heard?
Yeah.
No, I think I heard you got a Cleveland. You're going with Cleveland.
Yeah.
Ride with Cleveland. If that's Did you give a prediction there, Deke? You going Pittsburgh?
Cleveland. Who's the only team from the AFC? What division are they in?
I can't stand
Cleveland and-
Pittsburgh. I
don't
like
love Pittsburgh
Cleveland.
either.
Cleveland's got the prep guy,
Isn't the
coach.
Bengals the only team from that?
Although he's
division
not this week.
that didn't
That's
make
not
the
in
play?
it, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Uh-huh.
And then the Washington football team makes it, but the Dolphins don't, and they're 10-6.
And because the Pittsburgh Steelers sat players, lost the game, and cost Dolphins a playoff spot. Back to the beginning of the show. Why did the Eagles take heat for it? But anyway, who's your pick?
Wow, man, I like the Browns this year. I thought they were fun to watch. You love to see a team that's been down for decades to have a spark to them. And
Why?
Jim's gonna go.
Why? I feel like we've had. I feel like we've had these conversations before. Like, why do you have any sympathy for teams not winning when we haven't won
they're
for
not in our
years?
division. They're not in our division.
Yeah.
I still picture that big, huge dude.
I didn't care when
in-
the Cubs
in
won.
the,
I didn't
what
care
was
that
the
Andy
old-
Reid won.
what was the old stadium in Cleveland? What was the old stadium in Cleveland?
Was it
With
no?
the
It was
dog-
Jackson. Was it Jackson?
Metropolitan Stadium, Memorial
don't know.
Stadium, something like that.
Memorial Stadium, I think it
The
was.
big, huge dude in the dog
The
pound.
dog
He had
head.
the half of dog face. And he was 6'6" and 350,
Mm.
and just how sad he was. Whenever they were.
And they threw bottles on the field one game,
Yeah,
but Philly's
whatever. Yeah,
bad.
whatever.
Philly's bad.
Yeah,
You didn't hear
well,
anything about that, right?
It's the mistake by the lake. I got you, but I don't know. I
Just
don't.
pick a damn team.
I don't want to pick against the Browns, but I'm thinking I'm going to have to.
Bob, who do
But
you
I
have?
think Pittsburgh is a fraud team also. I'll go Pittsburgh, but I wouldn't be shocked if they lose.
I'm the same way. I mean, but I mean, they're just ravaged by injuries. I think in order to beat the Steelers, they would need to be at full capacity. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I'm going with Steelers.
Yeah,
All right.
you're right. They got to be at
Yeah,
the Browns aren't going to beat them with one
Right.
hand tied behind their back.
Mhm.
You're exactly right.
Baker can now.
Baker can't beat them with both hands and his legs
Would it-
on a 2-yard line.
With a third hand, as far as Jimmy's concerned.
Baker Mayfield. All right.
Is it over on now? Is that we're on?
No, that's it. We'll get back. Next week we'll get to, unless you want to give your Super Bowl predictions, but we can.
No, this is division weekend, wild card weekend. I'm sorry, not even division weekend. Let's stick with the wild cards.
I mean, I put my Super Bowl prediction
Yeah, you
out
did.
there. All right.
Unsolicited too.
That's just so when the Super Bowl comes around, you guys are like, "Oh yeah, I told you it was
Yeah,
going to be
okay,
Green Bay.
right.
I knew it was going to be Green Bay and Kansas City." Yeah, way to go out on a limb with the number 1 seeds. All right, I know we wanted to talk Sixers. We're in overtime here. What's the Sixers score?
Last I got was the refs suck in the Sixers game from DJ, and Joe White and DJ commented that Ben threw up a brick for a 3.
Nice. That's what we expect out of you, Ben. Out of boy. Stay true to yourself.
45.
Brooklyn.
Ooh,
Brooklyn.
wow.
All
What
right,
period?
well, hey, look, you're not going to win them all.
Second, so it's not halftime yet.
Nope. 2
Okay.
minutes, 24 seconds.
You're not going to win them all. We'll be back here
No.
next week, and we'll talk about where our Sixers are at. And at this point next week, we'll have some hockey to talk too. Maybe
Yeah.
we'll see if
Yeah.
Fritz wants to come in. Maybe.
Yep.
We have a new hockey correspondent.
I always welcome hockey talk.
You a big hockey guy?
I am,
All right. Well, there we go. Bob can keep us on the straight and narrow then too.
Yeah.
but I need a partner. Fritz would help.
Yes, you
Yeah.
would.
I know a little bit. I
Yeah.
used to be a big hockey guy, and I kind of lost my taste for it. And I can't really get into any other sport until football's done. Even though our Eagles are out of it, I'm still locked in, and I'll watch Sixers here and there, but I'm
Yeah.
not following it close enough to. Like I'd like to have a Sixers conversation with DJ and Flann in here too. I know they're big hoops guys, so have the bigger conversation.
A lot of people have that mentality, and I think the NHL should realize that. And what I think they should do is have a regular schedule from, I think the first usually during normal times, the first game's like beginning of October. After the maybe February, or even coming out of January out into the new year, I think that they should go to this. Did you see the schedule that the NHL has out, or the Flyers schedule?
With how they're playing all the interdivisional
Yes.
rivals, it's
Yes.
going to be great.
I think that they should go to that right after football. It's a sprint to the finish line.
Yeah.
Good point.
Well,
I like that.
when all the leagues got shut down, we did one episode where how we were going to fix all the sports,
Yeah.
and I rearranged all the seasons so that there's only minimal overlap, and you can focus on one sport
At a time.
at a time for a season. I think
Yeah.
that's how it needs to be.
Well, you're going to have to cut some games out there.
That's fine. We've already talked that baseball's
Yeah,
way
I-
too long.
I have no problem.
There's no
50
need for-
games for baseball is all you need. 50 games for baseball's fine.
What is this? A sprint to the finish?
Just because you're not into the sport, don't be cutting out 2/3.
All right, I'll give you 65. 65, make it
100
better.
95.
No.
100.
Yes. I'm good with 154 like they had back in the day.
154.
Yeah, they're 162 now.
Yeah, I was going to say that's not cutting much.
Hey,
Right.
dude.
100 games is good. I'll give you 100.
Mm.
I'll
No.
sign off on 100
For baseball?
for baseball.
69 would be good for me.
160 is too much.
It is. It's way too much.
I think 69 would be a good number. don't you
69 is
agree?
a nice even number. No?
Something not right about my 15-year-old son making comments like that.
He's got some bad example in your
What's
house.
six- You're right,
What's
he
16
does.
What's 69 mean?
It's a bad example. I don't know. His brother's always talking about it. I don't know. All right. And so we'll talk some Sixers. We'll talk some Flyers.
Yeah.
We'll have more playoffs going. We were told that JT Realmuto would be a Philly
We were.
yesterday, but that didn't happen. So maybe it'll be next Wednesday. Maybe they got their Wednesdays mixed up.
Hopefully.
Mets made a
Maybe.
big trade.
Mets
Yeah,
made
I think
two
Made-
moves today, right?
As
yeah,
I
they
said,
got
Linder and Carrasco.
Flan's sources, I think, are on the same level as DJ's.
Yeah.
Didn't they get that dude from Cleveland? Who is his name? Lindor.
Lindor and they got Carrasco too.
Yeah.
They got two.
Really?
I think he was an all-star at one point, Carrasco.
Yeah.
So
Not that that's gonna do anything for them. They still suck, but
they're
You get
getting
good players,
pitching.
you don't suck anymore.
They're getting pitching. I mean,
we can't talk.
we're gonna suck.
Yeah, well, like,
Right.
that doesn't matter. I just hate the Mets.
That's fine. We hate all New York.
Correct.
So
Except the Jets, because they don't
Keep-
do anything.
Whoa, no.
Nah.
We tolerate the Jets. We don't
no,
like them. We tolerate
There's no need for tolerance when it comes
No,
to sports.
no. 2 times we needed the Jets to do something good for the Eagles, and they did. They won the 2 games that they were supposed to win.
And then we
So
got
that-
Mark Sanchez.
So
from
that's
them.
why I tolerate. I don't.
That gets
like
wiped
how
we
out.
got
I
Mark
tolerate.
Sanchez from them. Like
That
Jim
gets all
said.
wiped out.
But fumble, that was a nice historical game.
Butt fumble.
Yeah.
That wasn't us, though. Thank God.
No, but
Sanchez.
they gave us him. We
Yeah.
took that slop from them. So that's why I say I wiped this. The slate has been wiped clean.
He went to 2 AFC championship games.
He did. We're in the NFC. He played
Right.
for us.
Right. All right. He
He's
patronized the local.
he's the
cheesesteak joint.
He's the Baker Mayfield of the East.
Oh,
the
nah,
AFC
nah,
East.
nah.
Let's do, Bob, mute all their mics. Let's wrap it up.
All right, gentlemen. It was fun. I did a lot. I got a lot off my.
Wait, we didn't.
Chest.
We didn't do the other games, did we?
That was it. That's all the game.
I guess Super Bowl
You want
prediction.
more games? You were complaining that there was too many
Super Bowl-
games
you
this
want
week.
this- What's your Super Bowl prediction? If
That
you
was
got
wild
something
card
to
weekend.
say?
You want to keep going through?
Because he has so much to say. What's a Super Bowl prediction?
You were saying there was too many games. And now we
God
want.
bless you. Again,
See, now you get me all
All right,
fired up.
What's your Super Bowl prediction then? If you got so much to
that my man Jack had a very good point. He says there is only one football team in New York, the Buffalo Bills.
I'll give him that.
I agree
will
with
give
that.
him that.
I will
yes.
give him that.
Yep. The other 2 are not. They have 0 to do with the city or state of New York.
All right, you still never answered my question.
Practice facilities, offices, and playing field, all in New Jersey.
Still did not answer my question.
What?
What is your Super Bowl prediction?
Oh, no, we're not doing that. At least I'm not.
No, I'm not doing that yet.
All right. Guess me and Jim are the only ones doing it.
Who was yours?
Green Bay Chiefs.
Oh, yeah, number
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Oh
two-
wow.
Watch them get knocked out in the divisional round.
Wow.
Yeah. Tampa Bay's going to beat Green Bay. Tennessee's going to beat KC.
Now wait a minute. Someone said Tampa Bay and the Chiefs. That was you,
Me?
Andrew. Yes, you said Tampa Bay and the Chiefs.
I have Washington beating the Tampa Bay.
No, you said earlier. You said Tampa Bay and Kansas City.
I don't remember.
I must have blacked out.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure, but this is recorded, so we can listen. We can go back.
Roll back. the
Yeah,
tape.
roll back the tape.
All right. We good? We go out on that note?
Sure.
That was a good note. We go out on some odd ones on occasion. So that was a good note. That was a clean
On
note.
occasion.
a lot.
Well, I
We
just
go
want to
on
let
a
it be
lot.
known too. You know, everyone wants to give Andrew a hard time, and he was like the all-star tonight. I would give him that.
Man, you're giving him the game ball every
I will
week.
give him the game
Every
ball
week.
There you
tonight.
go.
Yes, I will
Hey,
give him the
all right.
game ball tonight.
All right. Hey, look, I'll take it.
Absolutely.
Me and Deke bring nothing to this show. We just- that's why we bring other people in to help us out. We
Right.
just-
Prop us up.
yeah.
See, you're doing everything but driving here, man. You're doing great. See that?
He might be driving home if we get some more.
All right, folks. Thanks again for checking us out with another episode of the Santa Booth first podcast here at the Crack Bell Production Studios. We will be back next week. Let's go Sixers. Let's get excited. Let's get flyered up and enjoy some playoff football this weekend.
6 days till they start. By the way.
6 days till they start. Yes. Yes. Let's bring on some hockey. As always, be excellent to each other. We'll see you next week.